Na 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 na, Captain Underpants. Yeah. We just saw Captain Underpants.
We're in a car immediately following the press screening for Captain Underpants.
That's right. And
sat next to the venerable Alonso Duralde.
That's right.
Christy Lemire. And most importantly, Christy Lemire's young son, who I believe is 7 now, Nick Lemire.
Yeah. And everyone had a good time, us included. This Captain Underpants is coming out the same weekend as Wonder Woman. It's 2 superhero movies, same weekend, and they're both great.
And they're both excellent.
They're both really, really good. This is a good year for superhero movies. Logan, the Lego Batman movie, arguably Guardians of the Galaxy. I wasn't the biggest fan, but a lot of people really like it. Like it was
a big hit anyway.
Yeah.
Which of these aren't hits anymore? I'm eager to see what's going to beat.
Power Rangers wasn't a hit.
Power Rangers was not a hit.
That's a shame because that was also a good one.
It was okay.
I liked it a lot.
It was okay.
I liked it a lot.
Captain Underpants, however, is one of the more sublime cinema experiences I've had this year. It taps into something very fundamental, which is toilet humor is funny. And when you're
got a little more out of it than that.
When you're an 8-year-old boy,
yeah,
having a sense of humor about toilets and toilet paper and farts and underpants is kind of part of the fundamental fabric of friendship.
That's what you got out of this? That was you got toilet humor is good. That's what you got out of Captain Underpants. I get that's in there. But...
I think that it does. It's why it's so effective. It taps into something that is true about little kids, and it's that when you make a fart noise, you giggle. And there's something very primal and very important about that.
What I got out of it was that's in there. I'm not denying that. But honestly, what I got out of it, I got this feeling of sort of subjective youthfulness that I feel like we used to have more, especially in the 80s.
Yeah.
With people like Savage Steve Holland, you get like One Crazy Summer, or Better Off Dead, or he didn't do this one, but the sublime 3 O'Clock High. And it's just about how youth is so much more intense and extreme when you're young. And you get this wonderful sense in this movie. It's about these 2 little friends in their elementary school, I don't know, 4th grade or whatever. And all of their adventures are heightened and fun and based on this sort of unbreakable friendship. And the significant part of the plot is just they might be put in separate classes, and that's everything. There's like this wonderful image of them on separate planets,
and the planets
floating
are
away,
drifting through the galaxy away from one another.
The sense of imagination they have in terms of visualizing how big life feels when you're young, and how every little thing, just going to school in a Hawaiian shirt, feels so rebellious. It was really great.
Well, and something else that was really prevalent in the 1980s and isn't so much today is how divided children are from the adult world.
Yeah, we don't have that as much anymore.
You see something like The Goonies. These kids are going off and having adventures alone. And I'm not sure what was going on in the culture where we had more movies back in the day when maybe it's something to do with divorce rates and like parents were off doing their own thing and kids were having their own adventures.
I think that's part of it. I also think there was still this divide where as an adult you were expected to put away childish things. Like you look at films like Monster Squad where adults just say you got to put away monsters. Monsters are dumb. And yet kids don't want to, and that has value, and the movie celebrates that. And here, we've got that back. I think there's a lot of kids' stories that are much more, they realize parents are watching this stuff with their kids. Parents aren't just dropping their kids off at the mall anymore. So you want to sort of not insult the parents, and that's fine. There's a place for that. But when you're a kid, you feel like adults, especially teachers, are an other. And you feel like maybe they're not the enemy, but often they play the role of your antagonist because they're stymieing your creative freedom or your sense of humor.
Or just your desire to have fun.
Yeah, you gotta go to school and do your homework.
That's not fun. You are my enemy.
Yeah, exactly. So this movie really captures that in a very effective, funny way. I laughed so much at this movie.
It's hilarious.
It's really funny.
It has a really good sense of like slapstick timing, and like I said, it really taps into something very primal about that you never really lose even when you grow up.
Not fully. No, you still laugh it locked in there.
I will never not laugh at the fart campfire scene in Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
And I've seen Seth MacFarlane, for instance, tries to do this in a more adult way and tries to do shocking things by like throwing poop and pee and semen at people, and Captain Underpants knows what is funny about that.
There's an innocence to that humor that I think a lot of adults they try to make it mean. mean-spirited. We're laughing at somebody. Like, there's a whole bit about how there's a character in the film whose name, and I don't want to reveal it for you in case you don't know, but it's like, it's I don't know.
It's in the title of one of the books. You can say what it is.
Okay, fine. There's a character named Poopy Pants. That's his last name. That's his legal last name. And they think that's funny. And he ends up like going off on a dark path because of this, because he's not able to laugh at himself. And to the movie's credit, the kids actually do say, you know what, we were wrong. But they also say, like, you know, you got to be able to laugh at yourself a bit. You got to be able to appreciate it's a funny name. I wish I had a funny name. It's one of the podcasts. Like, they come up with all these funny names they wish they had. And there's an innocence to that. It's just, isn't it funny that names are funny?
Indeed,
yeah, kind of.
Those funny names, as it happens, I'm familiar with the source material here, and those funny names come from a chart printed in one of those books. So you can, and within the book, actually, he assigns funny names to all of the people as sort of punishment for being mocked. So no matter how your name is spelled, you can choose your name, your new name from a list of names.
So you read the Captain Underpants books, one or two of them, right?
One or two of them.
All right. So are they like this? Is this like a faithful adaptation of their humor?
Yes, actually.
Wow, those must be good books.
Those
must be good books.
The visuals and the sort of creativity. There was a scene where they couldn't do the action sequence, so they had to. The characters stopped the action sequence and sort of drew them by pencil just to show how impressive it was, because it was too expensive to do it otherwise. That's something from the books where they flip back and forth and you do your own animation. That's actually in the books.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's really, really fun. Anyway, the plot of this one is there's a couple of kids and they're pranksters, and the principal is a mean guy, and to their credit, they don't leave it there. They do explain why he's a mean guy, and they have some sympathy for him. And they, in order to prevent the principal from separating them and putting them in separate classes, which they know will mean the end of their friendship because long-distance relationships never work, they hypnotize him. They're surprised it works too.
Using a hypnosis ring that they found in their box of cereal.
Yeah.
That this is the universe.
And these kids who create comic books, and many of them are about a character they've created called Captain Underpants, decide to, well, the principal's under hypnosis, wouldn't it be funny if he thought he was Captain Underpants? And it sort of escalates from there. And there's a moment here or there where I really feel kind of bad for the principal, like they're taking advantage of him. But it's that Harpo Marx rule where, like, if anyone's mean to Harpo once, Harpo has like carte blanche to like destroy their lives.
The two lead boys are so appreciative of humor, and they have such a warm friendship, and the movie really establishes how close these two kids are.
And they're really likable kids.
And yeah, they're really likable. They're played by Thomas Middleditch and Kevin Hart, and they have such great chemistry. They really understand each other, that we understand what their friendship is, and they're such fun-loving guys that this joy kill coming into their lives really deserves to be punished in many ways.
Yeah. Now, it doesn't get mean, but it is obviously they're sort of taking away his free will. But again, he is a jerk, and he does sort of grow over time as well.
And when they hypnotize him, he's happy. So it's okay that he's okay with his punishment. It kind of takes the poison on.
There's a hint of poison on there, but I think it'll give you a headache, and then you'll get over it. I just had such a blast. I really was. Yeah. I had no expectations going into this one. I try never to, but like still, it's just like this. There's a decent chance this was gonna suck, and it did not. They really went nuts with this one, and they made it really funny, really imaginative, fun to watch, beautiful to look at. A lot of visual inventiveness. I feel like we've gotten kind of. Honestly, sometimes in animated movies, they fail to take advantage of the many possibilities of animation, and they just sort of create a consistent world. Maybe it's quite lovely, but they don't play beyond that. And here, they're constantly playing with what is possible to visualize. I really admired that.
I think it's CGI, which it didn't need to be. It was flatly drawn in the books, and many sequences in the movie are also flatly drawn that way. It could have been cell animated.
Yeah, if they hadn't gone quite so nuts with like the ending, you could have done this live action.
I suppose, or just cell animated. But we're not doing cell animation anymore. It takes too long.
Wow,
it's kind of a pity.
It is a pity.
But if we're gonna do it CGI, this is the way you design it. They're still kind of blocky. And we've moved away finally from what Genndy Tartakovsky called the puppet complex, or the puppet syndrome, where you make a CGI character and you can only stretch them and manipulate them so far. They're like puppets now.
You're treating them like they exist in a physical space, and they take up physical space, and you can break them. When in actuality, in a cartoon, they're nothing. You can do whatever you want. You can stretch the hell out of them.
They're a drawing. You can turn them into whatever you like. And I think CGI with this film, with the Peanuts movie, and with the Hotel Transylvania films, we're finally moving into a place where CGI can finally do what animation has always done. And it's refreshing to see it happening. It's a pity that it took so long, and we're losing something really beautiful by losing cell animation. But we're finally moving into.
They're
a place
still
where
making cell animation. It's just not the norm in the American production companies. They're still coming out of Japan. There's still some independent stuff in particular.
Right, but
it's not nearly enough. I'll totally grant you that.
The
But
big
they're not.
American
It's not
studios
dead.
aren't putting it forward anymore.
No.
They're not really stretching the format.
But they're
anymore.
starting to bring back the versatility of cell animation.
Right,
Whereas
right.
with CGI, they got really rigid there for a really long time. And this is a really good step in the right direction. So
You compare this to Shrek, and Shrek is going to be like.
Shrek is aged real bad, especially the first one. Like they're not great movies.
No, they're not.
Really not.
They're not.
The first one was novel, and I respected what it was doing. At the time, it was really great for the time. Like, it came out at exactly the right time. It did exactly what it needed to do, and it's still funny. Like, I'm not saying it's not bad.
And then it won an Academy Award for some reason.
It won the first Academy Award for Best Animated Feature over, I think it was Monsters Inc. Incorporated and
Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius.
Yeah, I think it was just the three, right?
Waking Life wasn't nominated that year.
That was bullshit. That was fucking bullshit. That's not cool.
Yeah.
They have a real hard-on against rotoscoping and motion capture. They really do not want to reward those, except for Rango. They let Rango slide for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, no. You can't go wrong with a superhero movie this weekend. Wonder Woman is great, and we talk a lot about that on this week's episode of Cancel Too Soon, when we do all 3 failed Wonder Woman pilots, and we have Jenna Bush from Legion of Leia come on and talk about that. We talk a lot about Wonder Woman there too. We try to keep it mostly spoiler-free, but it'll really help if you've seen the movie. But you should see the movie, and you should see Captain Underpants.
Which you will. I think, Wonder Woman's kind of a guaranteed runaway this time.
Wonder Woman feels like an event to me. Like you remember when Get Out came out, and it wasn't just a great movie, but it was a movie everyone was talking about, and you had to see it.
Yeah.
You had to see it to be a part of the conversation, and it was so good, you were so glad that you did. And I feel like Wonder Woman's going to be the same way. I think people are going to feel like they have to see Wonder Woman, and they're going to be really glad they saw Wonder Woman. It's not like, look, I liked Ghostbusters more than most people, but it wasn't brilliant. It wasn't like, oh, you're going to go see Ghostbusters, and it's going to really blow your mind with how great it was. No, I just think you'll have a really good time, and I liked those characters. Wonder Woman is as good as it was supposed to be, as we wanted it to be, as it should have been. And Captain Underpants is too.
Captain Underpants is
good
terrific.
For them.
It's terrific.
Good for them.
I have a 2-year-old son, and it's a pity he's not quite old enough to really get it.
But by the time it's on home video, he'll start perking up.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
But
he'll grow up with this movie.
We can say that over the credits, credits song by Weird Al Yankovic. Somebody was thinking of me.
Best original song Oscar, Locked Up. Done.
There was a girl, maybe 5 or 6.
Oh my god, this is so
in the
cute.
theater with us,
So
who
cute.
got up during the credits, and there was a little area in front of the screen. She got down there in that little area and was dancing along to Weird Al Yankovic, having the time of her life.
Like putting her hand up on the screen, touching the cartoon.
She was discovering something glorious in that moment, and it was so beautiful.
And she
so
was
magical.
it was so unabashed. Like, one of the things that pisses me off is when people say, like, oh, why is everyone clapping at a movie? The people who made it aren't here. Because it's a spontaneous emotional response. Like when people say, oh, why can't filmmakers be why can't film critics be objective? And it's like, film is not an objective art form. It's supposed to have an emotional response. You're supposed to respond emotionally. So if your response emotionally is to get up and start dancing because you had such a wonderful time, what a wonderful critique that is.
So when you see Captain Underpants,
review.
You should get up in your seat and you should dance around.
I think you should.
When Weird Al comes up.
Na 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 na. Yeah.